Do you ever wonder what is actually going on in American politics? Right? Because we know the media doesn't tell the truth. If we look at their North Star is not honesty, is not accuracy, it is not objectivity. So what are they doing? Right? Because I thought like that's what the news was. But they're not at all whatsoever. And what I put together is a understanding of people's actual behavior without a lens, without taking the data, manipulating it to spin some type of narrative. You can go grab the exact same data, take a look at it yourself. And I'm not twisting it in any sort of way. So with that being said, if this is your first time here, what's good? My name is Sam. For those of you who are returning, it's good to frickin' say you. Let's get right into it. So this is from Real Clear Politics. They are a site that just aggregates different polls around the country. So what we have here is the national polls. This is from Rasmussen, YouGov, which is The Economist, The Hill, IBD, Mammoth, CNBC, USA Today, and NPR, right? And if you look at these, there's a couple things we want to look at on this before we get into the Twitter rankings here. And first, let's take a look at, well, who's winning, right? According to their data, and when you think about this, you have to recognize that polling and surveying, there's inherent biases in that, right? You can do your own research on that. There's plenty of different biases in how things are sampled in terms of the methodology used and the stratification of how you're going to split that up to manipulate that data so that it looks better, right? They talk about it in a complicated way for the average person so they don't understand that. I can take data that comes in, and depending on how I stratify like that data and the source that I'm going to use, I can manipulate that to tell whatever story that I want to tell. Nobody talks about that. It happens. Just what it is. And then on top of that, so that's the base, right? The base is like fucked up. And then on top of that, you have an organization that has its own biases. And then this doesn't talk about the framing of the questions and how they're asked and all this other stuff, right? So let's actually try to understand what people are actually fucking doing. If your boss is over your shoulder, how is your behavior going to be versus your boss is on fucking vacation? It's time to party. That's what we're going to take a look at, right? According to all these polls, Biden's winning. And another thing that is on here is the sample. So this is the sample size. So essentially, this is how many people were surveyed or polled here. Take a look at this. The latest one that came out, Rasmussen, 1,500 people. So wait a second. So you're saying 1,500 people responded to your poll, and that represents like almost 4 or 5 decimal places to the right. And that is supposed to represent what the collective fucking heartbeat of America is? Come on. Like, this is not a comedy show. We're actually trying to understand what's going on here. Like, it's laughable at best. There's 330 fucking million plus people in America. Come on. Like, use your fucking head. 1,500 people. 1,500 people. And that's one of the larger ones. Take a look at this one from Mammoth. They've got 733. 733. So what happens, right? Mammoth comes out with a poll, and they're like, hey, we polled 733 people. The margin of error on this is 0.234%. And then the media will take that and report on it as actual factual data that somebody's supposed to believe is going to represent what the collective of America thinks. It's laughable. So I put together different rankings based upon actual data, not 733 people, not 1,500 people, but thousands or tens of thousands or millions in terms of the Google and YouTube search volume. You can check out those videos. If you go right over here, we look at YouTube search volume and Google search volume. The number 1 and number 2 largest sites, on the frickin' planet. Like what people are actually searching for, right? That's probably going to tell a better picture. Or on Twitter, in this case, we take a look at three different factors. We take a look at two factors from Social Blade. So this is Joe Biden's profile right here. Social Blade aggregates different social profiles for not only people in politics, but just basically anybody you want. It will track the data for you. And we can see over here that the monthly average, this is how many followers Joe Biden's gained in the last month, is 607,000. Right? 607,000 people decided to follow Joe Biden. And he has tweeted 216 times, right over here. 216 times. So that's the media that he's put out. That is over here. We're going to jump into that in just a moment here. And then what we did is we took a look at the hashtag Trump 2020 and Biden 2020. So this is going to give us an indicator of like who's actually interested, that's willing to talk about these candidates online, right? Like who is actually going to put out their opinion to the world on Twitter and use that hashtag to talk about it, right? And what we did is we looked at the previous 5 minutes for each one of the candidates. And we just tallied it up, right? Who gets more people talking about them? Relation to the election. So with that being said, let's just jump right into the data. We have here, this is from about 9 days ago. This is on July 1st. This is July 10th. So the total number of followers that Trump has gained over the last 30 days is 1.125 roughly million new followers. Biden, as we just mentioned, was 107,000. So twice as many people are following Trump, right? Maybe you think that's a cloudy number because you're like, well, I don't like the guy, but I still follow him. Well, let me ask you a question. Why? Doesn't impact your fucking life. Like, I don't follow people I don't like. Just plain and simple. Like, why would I follow somebody I don't care for? The next thing is media. So this, in terms of how many tweets are put out, is an indicator of how much work somebody's doing. Because in 2020 and going forward, and back to 2018 even, and starting in 2016, the internet's here, and a lot of people don't realize how powerful it is. The internet is a way to storytell. The internet is a way to get your message out to people. So the more effective you are at getting your message out to more people, the more money you could raise, the more impact you can have. If you're selling a product, right? For those of you who have businesses, you can sell more product online. And we can see here that Trump is tweeting 3 times more than Biden over the last 30 days, 780 versus 216, substantially more. The next, which we didn't include at the beginning of the month, but we did now, is the indicator of people who are using this hashtag. So remember, this is Trump 2020. People who are actually interested in Trump 2020, and they have to use that specific hashtag, and it has to have been within the last 5 minutes. I would have done an hour, but I didn't feel like counting that high. So we have Joe Biden coming with 40 people talking about him over the last 5 minutes when he did this a couple minutes ago. That's a lot. 40 people in the last 5 minutes talking Biden 2020. That's a lot, right? Trump 2020 had 67. A lot more, right? About 50% more than 50% more. So what's going on? When we look at these polls again, let me pull that back up again. We see these tell a different story. What's actually taking place here? Use your head. Start thinking for yourself. I think you can understand what is actually taking place here. This has been taking place for a long time. Now, if you guys found any value in this video, make sure to share it with somebody. Also, if you have any questions, leave them down below and we can get to them at some point in a future video. If you found value in this video and you want to actually spread the truth of what is actually going on without some type of fucking manipulation to the data, share this video with somebody. And press that thumbs up button, subscribe to see future videos, and the bell notification. What are you doing? So YouTube will notify you when the next video comes out. We're also going to be doing Instagram rankings. We have our Google and our YouTube rankings. And the one that I really like is the website. We have website ranking because we want to know what's actually going on. Where are people going, right? If you have 17 million people going to your site, and I've got 6 million go to my site, what does that tell you? These people are actually going to their site. Why do you go to a site? Why do you go somewhere on the web? 2 reasons. Information, first. Some capacity, whether it's entertainment, whether it is to get some type of piece of data, whether it is to read information. Second, to purchase something. Think donations in this case. So the website is super interesting to me because that's a very, very valuable piece of data. Again, it's not reported, right? And the other thing is, has more than 1,500 people. So adds more validity to it, right? Because we didn't just sample 1,500 fuckers in the neighborhood. Right? If you take 1,500 and divide it by 330 million people, that's like 4 or 5 decimal places to the right. And the media will report as that being accurate representation of what Americans actually think. Think about that for a second. Appreciate you guys. Peace.